And since you've used control panel and most of these tools will go click, click, click through most of these labs, there are a couple of things that I want to emphasize when we get to them, but mostly yeah, you'll do some activities, understand the control panel applets. I hate the default, don't know about you, I like to spread them out. You can change that, whatever you want to do. Labs are based upon the defaults, keep in mind. Use administrative tools. You may or may not have used those. We'll talk about them briefly and how to make your own MMC, the management console, so that you put the tools in that you need. It's a good idea, so that way you don't have to keep going back to this thing and opening it and opening this one and opening that one. You can add stuff to it, the things that you need to it. Manage hardware components, a little bit of that. Obviously on the virtual machines, there's a number of hardware things that we can't do. Understand and configure power management. You kind of need to look at that one a little bit, because when you get into a larger scale, you need to know what Windows has done to you, so that when you can't do a remote desktop to a machine, you know that, oh yeah, they put the NIC to sleep. You can make, obviously, configuration changes to this, but take a look at power management and what you need to do. I don't ask you to do anything dramatic. I think change the time on how long that the monitor stays on. Turning monitors off used to be a really big deal, because we had CRT monitors. They took a lot of power. These new ones, not really all that power hungry. Machines, we used to turn, and actually we still do, turn the machines off every night using a script. There, go back to that scripting stuff, huh? Runs a script that runs the shutdown command on all the computers at night. And then we configured the BIOS that turns them all on in the morning, so when you get here, they're on. You got to log on, obviously, but the computers are on, but the BIOS turns them all on at about 7 o'clock. Those are things that, keep in mind that you may need to do at some point in time. Scheduled tasks you can do an awful lot with now, an awful lot more than you used to be able to. When we set up the process that we use in the Active Domain, it was in Windows 2000. Lots of upgrades since then in order to be able to use policies to do a lot of this stuff with, and we'll do policies in the server class instead of setting them up. Configure the display. We've already done that, right? Had you put the plain blue on there and use the task scheduler. John asked, do I want you to put an antivirus on it? No, I don't really, because on the virtual machines, if you get a virus, we'll delete it and give you another one. Hopefully you won't go any place to get that. It slows things down. But if you have an antivirus, look at your task scheduler, because I think that's where it's going to have when do you want to run the antivirus, when do you want to do the scan. That's in task scheduler. You can do things like at home. What I've done is set the machine up so that it starts automatically every day. You can either do it during the weekend, and my particular BIOS during the week or on weekends, so it does it 7 days a week. And then it starts Outlook, because sometimes it takes a while with the number of emails my wife has. Sometimes it takes a while for Outlook to start. That way, when you get up in the morning, you go to the computer, hey, your email's already up and loaded, you're ready to read it. That's a scheduled task. I mean, you can do a scheduled task at a particular time of day, which you'll have to do, and you'll have to do on your practicals, or when the system starts, or when a particular individual logs on. A number of things. I think that the new one does a defragmenter, doesn't it? Like every week, this defragmenter. If you look in scheduled tasks, defrag.exe runs at, I think it's 2 o'clock in the morning on, I don't know. I remember which day it is. I changed it, so I don't remember what the defaults are. Control panel. This is the thing that is the strength and the Achilles of Windows. Why is it so easy to give Windows a virus? Because it has a central management. The registry and the control panel is just a graphical, a GUI way to manage the registry. It's the safe way to manage the registry. So it's the up and the down, the good and the bad. It uses the same control panel as Vista did. Applet's a small application in these things. And the control panel by default uses a category view. If you don't like it, you can change it. Feel free. I want you to learn to use whatever is comfortable for you. Personally, I don't like category view because it takes me too long to figure out where things are because I have never grown accustomed to it. They made it too easy to change back, so I changed back. It's up to you which you want to use. Wide range of applets, yes, they're all there. You've seen a number of them. Windows Update, we've looked at some of those things, power options, and you're going to go through a number of those. That's why, yes, they are there. And we've already looked at some of those things. Network and Internet activity, configuring the network communication, and they're going to take you through some things in there. Network and Sharing Center, Home Group, Internet options are all there. Home Group, when you get to join a home group, you got to be a home network, not a work network. And it'll tell you, if you're a work network, it'll tell you that you can't join it because you're a work network. You've just got to go back into the network and sharing and say, oh, I don't want to be a work network, I want to be a home network. And the thing that I hopefully will continue to emphasize, when you go out to someplace public, log into a hotel, please be sure that you tell the system that's a public network. That keeps people from that. What the home network, the work network, and the public network really does is change the firewall configurations, different firewall configurations. The public network says nobody can connect to me. You can go out, but nobody can come in. You don't get all of the sharing so that people can see you out there. That's one of those out of sight, out of mind kind of things. Hardware and sound. You can look at that. You're not going to obviously be able to hear the sounds because it's a virtual machine on the server that doesn't have a sound card. So the sound doesn't really configure all that well. They don't ask you to do a whole lot with that. Sound, something that you can configure on your own. Devices and printers, autoplay. And autoplay is one of those things that can be dangerous. You know what hackers do? One of the hackers' favorite tricks is to lose a flash drive. Everybody wants a new flash drive, right? And you always want to know what's on it, right? And you plug it into your machine and autoplay's on, and it autoplays the virus right onto your computer. I think that probably, 3 or 4 updates ago, I believe that they turned autoplay off, but that's one of the issues. Yes, it's handy when you put something in and it starts up the DVD. It also is a risk because who wouldn't pick up a flash drive laying around? Would everybody do that? You wouldn't pick one up? You just leave it laying there? Chris is saying no, he wouldn't pick it up. Not mine. But you wouldn't even pick it up and take it up to Lost and Found? What if you're trying to find out whose it was? What if you're trying to figure out whose it was?
Well, there were student IDs going to be attached to it.
Huh?
Student ID cards.
Only me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody find all the dogs.
Yeah.
Oh, this is yours.
But you wouldn't do that, huh?
What?
I'll lose a flash drive and see how many of you will pick it up.
Flash drive in.
You really, yeah.
I'm not going to keep it.
No, you keep it, but what if you want to figure out whose it is?
Well, you know.
Somebody else's job.
If someone's looking for it, and I think the place like Lost and Found, perhaps, then they're.
How are they going to figure out whose it is?
Why not leave it where it is? Because most likely.
Let's lay down in the parking lot. Somebody going to run over it and crush it.
Come back for it.
Oh, yeah. Like the cell phone that I found over at the mall one time. I took it and turned it in, but, yeah, they didn't come back and look for it. If you lost your flash drive, Margaret lost hers, but she knew where she lost it.
Yeah. Always in the machine.
I lost one time. You know where I found it? After 6 months, laying on the floor of the car. What had happened is the case came off, and the circuit board fell out onto the floor. All you guys are going to pass up this brand new 2 gig flash drive laying there, huh? Yeah. I'll put money on that one. You already have a 16 gig. Okay, let's say a terabyte. No, it's not a terabyte. 64 gig.
I'll let it pass.
You'll let it pass.
I'll let it
Only because I've pointed out the risks. So everybody's gotten real safe now.
Now, 64 gig, I'm going to have to check it out. No, you know what I'm saying?
See? Be careful of those things. Be careful of autoplay because it will automatically start a bunch of stuff on there. Power options, whatever. Display, we've looked at a little bit. You can do the display. By the way, if the display is not big enough on your machine, you want to make it bigger, smaller, whatever, just right-click on it and change the size. Because it will redimension your Windows machines to whatever you specify. I think they start out with 1024 by 768 as the default. You can change that. I've had people at home have much bigger monitors. They make it really big, and then they don't change it, and then I open it up and I can't find out where I am on the screen. But you can change the size of those by just right-clicking on it and changing the screen settings. Hardware that does support tablets, that is one of the things, and this is the sound component. And again, you're going to look at these things fully charged. This is more, we're talking about the mobility center, and the mobility center only operates on mobile computers. So the laptop's the only place that's really going to show up on. When they do that, I think we skip over that one. Install and uninstall applets or programs and features, default programs. There are a number of things. There are some oddities, and I think the .NET, for instance. If you go out and you download .NET, you double-click on it, it says you can't install it here. I think that's one of the features that you can add in Windows 7. There are a lot of features in there. Take a look. I'm not going to try to go through them, but there may be something in there that you actually want to add. There may not be. But those things are available. See, he's watching you text, Chris. See, now you got the campus president and the person that's going to help you get a job watching you text during class. Okay, well, whatever. They say you are. I don't know. I can't see what you're doing. Gadgets, there are some gadgets that you can get here. They have a gadgets area if you want to put them, like clocks and stuff like that, if you really like it. One of the things that I think you should do is when you put all this clever stuff on, if you don't have a big enough horsepower or enough memory, look and see how much that's taken up, because that can actually slow down your machine. There is and they showed the programs there, right-click uninstall. Revo uninstaller is something that you may want to look at. It's free, and it does a better job of cleaning up than the initial installation file. So it goes back and looks through the registry, and we'll take the registry entries out. Looks through the file system, we'll take the associated files out of the file system for you. User accounts and parental controls, they're going to look at that. This is an area when you do these things. We had a student a long time ago. They got him a brand new, he hadn't done a whole lot with Windows. He was in the A+ class like you guys are doing. He got him a brand new laptop. He actually brought his desktop in, and he was going to clean it out. I made him take it outside. It was so bad to clean it out. It really was bad. It's like he dropped it in a mud hole, literally. But he configured parental controls. And there's one of those configurations in there that says that if it doesn't have a rating, don't go there. Well, after he configured parental controls, he couldn't get to the virtual PC site. Because guess what? It doesn't have a rating. Go on and on and on. Be careful of those things. And this is one of those, what have you done? You may want to write down what you did and what actually is there, so that when you go someplace you can't get there, you can go back and figure out why you can't get back to those locations. Appearance and personalization. I don't think I have any problem with that. Everybody, that's the first place that people usually go, is I want to make it clean. John has this really cool background on his now. What? You have this really cool background on your virtual machine, right? Yeah. Yeah, see? So this is just so that you know that I do look. But the reason that on the virtual machines you can do whatever you want with them, but if you put these really cool stuff on and tell me it's running slow, you know what the answer is? Okay. The plain blue background, if you have trouble running. There is a configuration, a couple of configurations. I know I digress again. One is in the web server. If you don't want to do it 10 pages at a time, you can tell it to do many. many. I usually set mine to 50, so that instead of going page to page, which takes some time, you just scroll up and down in there. Another one is to use a reduced color set in there, which will actually speed up a little bit off campus. It won't help you a whole lot on campus except make the colors look funny. But it uses a lesser color. Clock, language, and region. Nothing really dramatic there. I already asked you that. So why does Indiana have its own time zone? It's Indiana -5, right? Why does it have its own time zone?
Between the central point of, I forgot.
There are some areas of Indiana, I think, that still don't do daylight savings time, and it's got 2 time zones in the state. Yeah. Now, I think and Margaret Point, I think Arizona doesn't do daylight savings time.
No, they don't.
But I think they're all in the same time zone. I think that whole state's in the same time zone. Some people just don't like it. When I was a kid, they called it fast time. My dad worked in a place that did daylight savings time in the county we lived in didn't. So he got up real early to go to work, like 4 o'clock. The bad thing was, all the good TV shows came on after we got television. All the good TV shows came on after I had to go to bed, even in the summer. Speech recognition, we've kind of talked about this, and again, we did some of that stuff as we go through. Ease of access is designed for people that can't necessarily operate things the way they want to. The MMC, the Microsoft Management Console, is a framework, and this is the one that I want to really quickly here go through, because they got a lab to do that. But this is something that can be handy for you. You just go to your search run bar and just type MMC, and it will, with any luck, open it for me. I've weighed down my machine. Do I really want that to happen? User account control, right? Do I really want that to happen? Do I want to be able to do that? And when you talk about a framework, that's a real framework, right? Nothing there. If you don't need this little thing, this little more actions over here on the right, you can turn it off up here or turn it back on. If I want to add something, go to File, Add, Remove, Snap-in. So the snap-ins are the things that actually do stuff for us. And when you go in here, you can add whatever you want to do. If we wanted to do local users and groups in here, we can add, it says local computer or another computer. You can manage another computer that you have the authority to manage from one location to the other. So all of the stuff that we should be doing should be on our local machine. Do device manager, I'm just going to put a few of these things in here. Services, maybe, on this machine. Shared folders on this machine. As we go through these things. When you do these, and again, if you pick any of these, the more actions will be over here. What do you want to do? Generally, it's easier just to turn those off. And then when you want to do activities, those are there. They're going to have you do a number of different things. There are a number, and you can save these. I'm not going to save this one. If you go into the taskbar and go into the properties, you can turn on the pre-configured toolbars or administrative tools, if you will. Configure the advanced down here, display them. The default is don't display them. I don't know why they turn them off, but they turn them off by default. You have to turn them on. Yes? Start menu, customize. And then go down. So that is the second one from the bottom is where you turn the administrative tools on. Just
Now I'm lost. I did.
And you did advanced? Start menu, advanced, or customize?
Custom. Okay, the customize is where I couldn't find.
Yeah, customize, and then go down to the bottom. It's the second one from the bottom is turn it off and turn it on. Yeah, well, you can display it on your start menu, or your all programs, or both. They're off by default. On your virtual machine, the same way. You right-click on the Start menu, or on the taskbar, Properties, Start menu, Customize.
Are we doing this on the virtual or just on our computer?
Doesn't matter. I'm just showing you how to do it.
Oh, okay.
I'm just showing you how to do it. You can turn them on there. Or if you don't want to do any of those, you can go into Control Panel and go into Administrative Tools, and you'll have the pre-configured ones. You can get there. Any of those methods will work in order to get to the tools that you're going to need. These are the pre-configured ones. The one that has the most information in it is the computer management one, which I'm presuming is going to start here in a second for me, which has a lot of things that you would use: the task scheduler, event viewer, shared folders, local users, performance, device manager, disk management. So that's one that's made by them. You can't change that one. The pre-configured ones are there. They're not changeable. The ones that you make, you obviously can add things to and modify later as you want to. So administrative tools, with all those, did we cover that okay? Each of the individual tools, it depends on what you want to do. And this is another one. There are certain ones that you're going to use or certain ones that you're never going to use. The one before that, iSCSI initiator, you need it if you're connecting to an iSCSI partition on these things. Administrative tools, MS config, system configuration, all the same thing. You can look at things, and this is a good way to find where people have added stuff to you, right? We got general, which is just the general how we're going to start the system. The boot, how it's going to boot, services, and startup are things that are going to start automatically when you start the machine. You can turn them off here. That's there. You can get their MS config at the search run bar. Any of those will do that. There's a number of things. CCleaner will do that now, right, John? CCleaner will turn them off for you. A lot of different tools to do that. It's kind of handy to check every once in a while to see what's there, because anything that starts there is going to take resources from your machine. The MMC we looked at, you can make your own, configure your own to do whatever you want it to do. Customized MMC. They're .msc files. If you ever lose it, you can search for .msc files and find it. The default is going to put it in your profile. It's kind of handy for you and me if you put it on your desktop, particularly if it's one that I need to grade. I usually can find it, but not always. Computer management, again, a pre-configured one. There are a number of the pre-configured ones that you can use. The storage section, each of those, and that's what's there. The services that are running by default, some services start automatically, some start when they're needed, some are turned off. It's kind of interesting to go through and look at, for instance, to find out that on a desktop, these do have wirelesses, but on a desktop without a wireless configuration, it turns on the wireless service. Do you really need that? Probably not. Can you turn those off? Probably so. What's the best way to determine, and this is me, if something's needed or not? Turn it off. It doesn't break anything, leave it off. Disable it. If it breaks something, turn it back on. Until you disable it, it'll restart the next time. So turn it off. If it doesn't break anything, give it a shot. The log on as hardware management, compatibility centers there, device drivers. And again, these are things that you're going to do activities on, so not a... And a lot of this stuff hasn't changed. Device manager has been there for how long? Since Windows 95? So you probably have used a lot of this stuff. Device manager, when you go in there, what are you looking for? Looking for something really bad, right? Red and yellow. bad driver, disabled, if something's disabled or just didn't load, and the color coding will kind of draw you to those particular things. The device driver, virtual machine network properties, update driver, disable, uninstall. One of the things, back to plug and play, questions that they at least used to like to ask is, you've got a piece of hardware that is disturbing you, or you put in a new NIC or whatever, and the install one or video card, and the one that's on the machine keeps coming on. And you uninstall it, it goes away, and you restart the computer and it comes back. What you want to do is not uninstall, because plug and play, if you uninstall, what's it going to do the next time? Put it back up. You want to disable things that you don't want instead of uninstalling them, because if you uninstall a plug and play device, it'll just install the next time. If you disable it, it'll leave it there, but it won't make it operate. Driver signing is one of the other things. There is a tool, and you've got an activity to find out if you have signed drivers. Windows 7 is more picky about signed drivers than XP was. Signed drivers means that it has a digital signature, a digital certificate associated with it, which gives you some assurance that it's not been corrupted, because if it has been, the certificate won't match. And you can run to check on that. That's another thing. That's another Microsoft trick, quite honestly, that you call them up, they help you out, and they can't fix it, and then they have you run this and say, oh, it's not a signed driver. Just because it's not signed doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad. But there is a file signature verification utility that that is installed in this thing. PCI, and these are things that you address also in the A+ class. Power management, there are default, you can create your own power management, modify them, best performance, leave it on all the time, turn it off real quick, turn off the NIC. The one thing that, to me, is a real pain here is Windows turning the NIC off to save power.
Oh, it does.
That's the default. And then if I'm at home and I want to do something on this machine, say I can remote desktop to it from a virtual machine, right? But if the NIC's off, I can't actually. I can't actually. And I've done, and I've had to do it before. Oh, I forgot something there, I left something there, copy something up or whatever else. But if the NIC's turned off, can't do it. But those are some of the little things that will drive you crazy. Away mode, and these are the S states. This caused us, the S states in the hardware caused us some real problems when we put in the new server that has the virtual machines on it, because it would just shut itself down for no apparent reason. What was happening was it was getting to such a low power state that the power saving was turned off all the processors. Even if you were using it, but if only like 1 or 2 people were using it, you got 16 cores, it'd say, maybe I just go to sleep. But it would shut itself down for no apparent reason. We went in and turned off the automatic power saving, and it hasn't done that since. Videos blank. Display, WDDM driver DirectX 9.0. If you take their test, that's the 2 things that you're going to need to know. What does your video have to support? And if you're installing the stuff, what it does. But I think that everything works that way now. The 3D flip, if you have all of the hardware to support it. Display settings, been there, done that, right? You've done that before. You can do that again if you want to resize your screen. That works in the virtual machines also. Multiple monitors. Probably one of the things that is easier for these than it has been in the past. The multiple monitors you put it on, it really works pretty well. You can either echo the monitor that you have, or you can expand it, and expand it you have to drag stuff over to it. You've been here already. Adjust for best performance, however you want to do it. If you want it to look good, you leave all those on-text resources. If you've got a virtual machine and you're not really interested in all of that, configure it for best performance. The themes, desktop backgrounds, these are things that you guys already know how to do, I'm sure. Screensavers, one of the things that you can do with a screensaver is use it as a security tool. Configure it to have people, and it's just a checkbox to make people log on when you come out of the screensaver. Now that's what used to happen here. I don't think they use the screensaver anymore. They just log you out right after so much time. That's another policy. That's a safety thing. People that walk away from the machine, and if they walk away and don't come back, you can use the user switching in order, and you can log on to the machine. It used to be you just had to crash the machine because XP didn't allow that in a domain environment. Windows 7 does. On resume, display logon credentials, multiple monitors. This is really no more than having two video cards, plugging them in. Honestly, it'll automatically detect them. Or your television. How many of you play stuff off the internet on your TV through your laptop or computer? Oh, come on. Somebody got to do that. I do sometimes, too. It automatically, mine's a little odd. I have to start the computer with the television attached and turned on before it'll actually detect it. But it will detect the video, and then you can play whatever. James can play NCIS on the television, right? YouTube. Lots of stuff there, too. Task Scheduler, they're going to have you do an activity. We've talked about lots of stuff you can do with Task Scheduler. So did I do okay in getting through this one quickly? Questions. This one is something, again, that the control panel has been around for a long time. You guys have all used it before. There are some changes, not anything dramatic, I don't think, in this system. But take a look at it. You've got a few activities to do in that one. The one that's going to take the most time, now that I think mostly everybody's got Chapter 1 done, got the installs done, is the Chapter 2 one's going to take quite a bit of time. The Chapter 3 should be pretty quick, actually. Questions? Questions?